everybody, it's Foxy, your drama teacher here. Today we're going to be talking about how to build an audition portfolio. I've made other videos that I'll link above about how to get ready for an audition, how to choose a monologue for an audition, but today's video is purely focused on the components you need to have an audition portfolio. Now, what is an audition portfolio? Well, an audition portfolio is a 1-inch binder with sleeve covers inside that will physically have all of the components that you need to take with you to either an film audition or a theater audition. It is your lifeline. It is absolutely everything that you're going to need. Anything that a casting director might ask for, you will have ready for you in this portfolio. The first thing you're going to need in your audition portfolio are headshots, and I will link a video if it's ready on how to take a good headshot, but at a minimum, you're going to need 3 different headshots. And the first headshot you're going to need is a theatrical or a dramatic headshot. This is a pleasant face where you have a closed mouth smile or a closed mouth look on your face. That is a theatrical headshot. The second headshot you're going to want to have in your portfolio is a commercial headshot. This is going to be a fun, bright picture of you smiling, and that is considered a commercial headshot. The third headshot, or it's called a headshot, but the third picture you're going to want to have in your portfolio is a full body shot. If you are a dancer, you might want to have yourself in a dancer pose. If you are not a dancer, you're just going to want to have a full body shot that shows off your figure. When a casting director wants to cast a certain person in a role, they might be looking for a particular body type, and a full body shot will give them an idea of what your body type is. So not only do you want to have those 3 different headshots in your portfolio, you want to have multiple copies of every single shot. I would say at a minimum have between 5 and 10 individual headshots of each type ready to give out to anyone who might ask for one. I was at an audition one time where I needed 50 headshots available with my headshot on the front and my resume on the back, because it was one of those cattle call auditions, and so you just walked up to the audition and you gave them a stack of your headshots, and then they dispersed them out to all of the casting directors and agencies that were at that audition. If you are at a particular audition or you get invited to an audition, they will likely already have your information on hand that you have either sent in electronically or they've had on file from a previous audition. But there might be someone new at the casting table who does not have a readily available copy. And so if you walk into the room and they're like, do you happen to have an extra headshot for my friend here that I asked to come in and sit on this? You want to be able to have that available. The second thing you want to have readily available is your resume. Your resume, I'll have a whole separate video, again, that I'll link below, on how to create a professional performance resume. A performance resume is very, very different from a professional career resume, like that says, I worked at Bath & Body Works, and I worked at this museum, and I worked at this company throughout your life, that you would use if you were applying for a job. Applying for an acting job is very similar, but your resume, your acting resume, will look a lot different. So look for that video on how to actually build a audition or performance resume, but you want to have lots of copies of that available as well. You may even want to attach either staples in each of the 4 corners, stapling your resume to your headshot. That way when you give someone your resume or give someone your headshot, on the back is your resume with your name on it and all of your credentials, all of your information, including your contact information like a cell phone number or an email address. Or you can actually get all fancy and you can print your resume directly on the back of your headshot if you have that technology available to you. Stapling it is perfectly fine, but make sure that you do staple it in all 4 corners, not just one staple at the top, because it could easily get ripped off, it could get separated, and not just at the top and the bottom, because then it could curl in, but make sure you staple it on all 4 corners. I know I went into a long diatribe there about staples, but it's important. So headshots, updated current resume. Now, depending on what type of performer you are, depending on what type of audition you're going to, you will also need a variety of the following: song selections and monologue selections. If you are a straight actor, you are not a singer, you will never sing, you will never audition for a musical theater song, then you want to have at least 4 monologues in your audition portfolio. And you might ask yourself, or you might ask me, why does it matter? Why should I have them printed? If they're already in my repertoire, if I already have them memorized, obviously you're not going to go into an audition and read a monologue from a printed piece of paper. Absolutely not. However, if you are sitting at an audition and you are in the waiting area and you're waiting to go on, you have a couple options. You could play Candy Crush on your phone, you could scroll through Instagram, or you could open up your portfolio, have your resume right there, have your monologue right there, and go over it. Yes, it should be muscle memory at that point. You should have it memorized, you should know it like the back of your hand. But when you're nervous and when you're at an audition and when you want to make a good impression, how should you be spending those last 10, 15, 5 minutes before you go in for an audition? Read over your monologue, people, and read over all of your monologues. You should have at least 4 in your repertoire if you are considered a straight actor as opposed to a musical theater performer. And so you might have 1 or 2 of them really solid, but the other 2 might be a little bit shaky. And until you are so super solid on all 4 of these monologues, you really want to have them available to read over, to refresh yourself, and having them in your audition portfolio is very handy. So you should have, if you are a straight actor, have a minimum of 4, like I said. You want a contemporary comedic monologue, a contemporary dramatic monologue, a classical monologue, which is anything from the 1800s and back, so anything from about the Oscar Wilde era and all the way back to Shakespeare or Euripides, and so that's considered a classical monologue. And if you are a straight actor, you really want to have about 2 classical monologues. So you want to have a contemporary comedic monologue, a contemporary dramatic monologue, a classical comedic monologue, and a classical dramatic monologue. You really want to have that depth and breadth of range in what types of monologues or what types of audition pieces you have to deliver for a panel. If you are going for a musical theater audition, I still recommend you have between 2 and 3 monologues. You want a contemporary monologue, you want a contemporary comedic monologue, you want a contemporary dramatic monologue, and you want a classical monologue. So you want at least 3 of those things. And then you also want to have your music. You want to have at least a up-tempo and a ballad. So those are going to be your 2 staples that you're going to want to have in your audition portfolio. An up-tempo can be anything from a contemporary glory days, any kind of a musical theater show that showcases your voice, if you're a belter or if you're a lyric soprano. You want to make sure you're picking something that will highlight your range, highlight your emotional capacity to deliver a moving song. And then you also want it to be up-tempo and snappy, right? That's the whole point. If you're doing a more lighthearted musical, they're going to want to see something that's up-tempo. You should also be prepared to have a dramatic song in your repertoire as well. Now, you should have the entire song of both songs available, but you should also have very, very clear markings on your music for when to start and when to stop. This is not for your benefit, this is for the benefit of the accompanist. You want to have the music in your portfolio, and this is also especially why I recommend getting these plastic sleeve cases for your music, because if you just take a 3-hole punch and you 3-hole punch the music and you put it in the binder, after a half a dozen monologues, after a half a dozen auditions where you have an accompanist who's flipping the page and flipping the page and flipping the page, you're going to wear out the holes in that sheet music really quickly. So if you put it in one of those plastic sleeve protectors, those holes are much more sturdy, and then the accompanist will be able to turn those pages a lot more easily. So you're doing it really for their benefit and for yours. For your songs, you want to have, like I said, the full song. You also want to have a 16-bar cut, and you want to have a 32-bar cut. You never know what they're going to ask for. You never know when they're going to ask to see more. So a 16-bar cut is pretty standard. When you go into any audition, they're going to ask for 16 bars of this and a 1-minute monologue for this, and then that will fill your 90-second audition time slot. But sometimes they might ask for 32 bars, and sometimes they might ask to see a whole song, or they might ask to see a piece of a song. I was in an audition one time and I was singing the song Vanilla Ice Cream from the musical She Loves Me. And I started at the beginning because that's where they asked me to start. And then about 5-10 seconds in, the director stopped me and she's like, okay, so the first couple verses repeat themselves, skip to the end. And so I had to have that music available for the accompanist because I had my 16 bars, I had my 32 bars, but the director at this audition, for whatever reason, wanted to see the beginning and they wanted to see the end. And so it wasn't what I prepared, but because I had the music and because I knew the song, I was able to deliver what the audition casting director was asking for at that particular audition. Really, at the end of the day, your audition portfolio helps you be prepared for the unexpected. You have all of your headshots. So they want a commercial, they want a theatrical, you have everything. They want a monologue, you have your comedic, you have your dramatic, you have your classical, so you're prepared for anything. You have your songs, you have your contemporary, you have your uptempo, you have your ballad. You might even have something that's a pop song, because there are so many musicals these days between Mamma Mia and Moving Out where they're based on, even Jagged Little Pill, like that's a brand new one based on Alanis Morissette's music. They have these musicals now that are based on pop music, and so you might have a director that wants to see a pop piece. I went to an audition one time where they actually wanted that. They wanted a pop song and they wanted a ballad, and so my uptempo, which is actually from a Glory Days musical, it's from Guys and Dolls, I wouldn't sing a Guys and Dolls song at an audition where they're asking for a pop song. So I ended up singing something from Moving Out, and then I sang something, I forgot what my ballad was at the time, but I gave them, I had a range of songs to give them. So in addition to your contemporary, in addition to your uptempo, in addition to your ballad, you may also want to have a pop song that's available that shows more versatility in your range of emotion. It's like the Boy Scout motto, always be prepared, especially when you go to an audition. So you want to have all of those things. On your music, like I said, make sure you clearly mark where to start and where to end. And when you have that time during your audition, when you come in, you introduce yourself, you walk over to the pianist, you hand them your entire portfolio, flip to the music. Make sure you take the time you need to say, okay, you're going to start here where it says start, and you're going to end on the next page where it says end, and then you're going to start at this tempo. And then when you get to here, you're gonna speed up. And the pianist will say, I'll follow you. But if you take the time to tell them ahead of time, I'm gonna start here, I'm gonna speed up here, I'm gonna slow down here, and then I'm gonna end here, you will have a much better chance of them following you. Because you have to remember, this pianist is playing for so many people all day long, and they're tired, they're bored, they're zoning out. And so if you've ever seen the musical The Last 5 Years, when Kathy goes to an audition, she says in the one song, why does this pianist hate me, right? Pianists don't intentionally aim for you to do badly, but anything that you can do to help them out along the path, along the road to be successful for you is only to your advantage. So the motto of the day, you guys, for your audition portfolio is to have everything you need to help you be successful. You want to have copies of your headshot, copies of your resume, copies of both of them together. You want to have at least 3 to 4 different monologue choices, at least 2 or 3 different song choices. You want to have full versions of the song, you want to have modified, cut versions of the song, and you just want to be prepared to give them whatever they ask for so that you have the best opportunity and the best chance of showing them that you are the right person for the part. I hope this is helpful. Look for one of my other videos on how to cut music if you're not sure on what piece of the song to cut. I will have tips for you for how to do that. I'll have other tips for you for how to create a resume for performing. I'll also have other videos for you on how to take headshots, and then you can check out my other video that's existing already for how to choose an audition monologue. I hope this is helpful for you guys. For those of you that are watching this for class, you have to build your own audition portfolio that will be a graded assignment, and so I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Until then, bye you guys.